And we're live. Happy Friday, you guys. Also, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy March Madness. Happy everything. And a client was really kind and got me one of my favorite beers. And you can only get it in Wisconsin. And so when we did their taxes last weekend, they brought me a sixer of it. It's called New Glarus Brewing Company, and this one's called Spotted Cow. This and their Moon Man are two of the best beers you can drink. This is actually called a farmhouse ale, which is more of a summer ale. So I like this isn't typically when you would drink it, but it's just since you can't get it here, anytime I have it, it's cool. So I'm gonna have it right now. This is the only beer I'm gonna be having to celebrate St. Patrick's Day because I've got a lot more work to do because it's busy season. So one sec here. Also, Clary isn't going to be able to make this one because he's off either, celebrating St. Patrick's Day or blowing off steam, which he needs to do because he has this very demanding job yelling over the internet. It's really stressful with high stakes, so he occasionally needs to get a break from that. So, cheers. I don't normally drink this early, but I mean, hey, it's St. Patrick's Day and it's Friday. It's good. The client who brought me this had warned me that it was sitting outside in his garage and it, froze, and I I wasn't sure how it would taste, but it didn't lose any of its taste. So mm. Anyway, I figured it would just be me here doing this talking to myself today, just because it is St. Patrick's Day. It's March Madness. Most people probably aren't hanging around YouTube. But I kind of needed a bit of a quick therapy session for myself. This isn't going to be very long. What it was, this was a pretty hard week, and I've probably talked about this in previous shows. But March 15th is a major deadline in the tax world. During busy season, because that's when S-Corp returns are due and when partnership returns are due. And if you're an entrepreneur or you have your own business or you're just a freelancer that doesn't have any type of salary job, this is a major deadline because what it is it's called, and again, you guys have heard me talk about this. If you have what's called pass through income that goes on one of these returns, an S corp return, it does have that March 15th due date. And what that means is you're not allowed to actually prepare, or it's more like you can't prepare your Form 1040, your individual returns until you do the S Corp return first. So it can cause like a domino effect of people either screwing up, their individual taxes or just being delayed in when they can do them. And Wednesday, the 15th of this week was the deadline. So it was a really, really, really busy week for me. And I ended up getting sick on Tuesday, the night before. I've still got a little bit of congestion. So apologies if I cough a little bit on here. But that's another reason why I had to wait until today where I could drink this beer because and with all the busy shit going on, I was also sick. So, mm, God. So, let me tell you all a little bit about this week. Uh, One of the things you've heard me talk about is that I'm setting deadlines for people to get me their documents. I'm like, I say, if you can't get it by X date, you're automatically going on extension, and I'm not going to be able to file your return. There's not going to be enough time. And this hit pretty hard with the S Corp deadline, Wednesday's S Corp deadline. This was kind of sort of the first year I had done something like this. In my introductory client wide email I sent out in January, I said, if you don't get me your S Corp documentation by March 6th, I'm automatically filing an extension. And then I'm also going to file an extension for your personal return, your Form 1040, Because if we're not doing your S-Corp return on time, we're probably not going to get your Form 1040 done on time. Even with the extra month, I'm just I'm not going to deal with last minute people anymore. So I unfortunately learned that I screwed up a little bit because I found a blind spot of mine, and I'm gonna have to try to find a way to fix this next tax season because this cost. I didn't anticipate what would happen, but this is what happened Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday morning. The day itself. This is what happened. Well, first of all, at least half of the, really about 60%. I'll even say 2/3 of my S-Corp clients, got everything to me timely. They had everything to me by March 6th, some even well before that. There were a lot of people that did a great job getting me their stuff this year. So that was fine. The problem is you have the other people who, perpetually procrastinate, and, I'm not saying they're lazy, I'm not saying that, they're disorganized or whatever. It's just life gets in the way, and people don't really need, they're oops, sorry about that. We'll get to your comments in a second. We get to people who just, life gets in the way, so you can't really deal with it. Mm. But here's what happened this year, and, if y'all have any suggestions on how I can avoid this for next year, I'd appreciate it because I've been racking my brain and I'm just not sure. About 20% of my S corp owners, they sent me everything by March 6th, so they technically met, my submission deadline for this to avoid an extension. But here's the problem. They were so hasty to do it that their records were just a mess. They forgot to send me paperwork that I need, 1099 forms, payroll forms, W-2s that I need. They just, a lot of stuff was missing because in their minds, they said to themselves, well, even if I can't get, me, Chad, everything, I'll at least beat that deadline. And, he can't say that I didn't get him everything. So this happened with a lot of people this year, and so I got their stuff by March 6th. So on March 7th, March 8th, maybe the ones that did this that didn't get me everything, I essentially wrote them back, and I was like, "Hey, we're missing XYZ, or your books are in really really bad shape. You need to get this fixed. I can't do the S corp return unless you fix your bookkeeping." And I offered to send them to one of my bookkeepers. I said, if you need some help with this, my guy, so and so, he's got capacity. He can do it for you. I mean, he'll charge you, but he'll do it for you. So I became really suspicious throughout that week and, up until this week when I heard back from very few of those people that I gave that warning to. I was like, well, either they're getting busy fixing it or they're going to just wait until the very last minute to, quote, get me this stuff. And there's probably going to be stuff that is still screwed up or still missing. And when you know it, I was right. So if we back up to Monday of this week, mm, Monday is the 13th. So, we only have a couple more days to get this done. And I will say, even if stuff was missing, I did everything I could to get started, on these people's returns in anticipation of maybe, maybe I can at least save a ton of time. And then when they get it to me, I can just plug in the numbers or whatever, plug in the documents and send it through. But the problem was a lot of people continued to just kind of get me stuff piecemeal. Like, for instance, this one client had really bad bookkeeping. So when you have bad bookkeeping, I really can't start on the return because how am I supposed to put your income, your business expenses, all that shit? So there's really nothing I could do. So I told them that. And then on Monday, oh, they were also missing, their 1099s. They basically had hardly anything. They might have sent me the salary they paid themselves, the W-2 and a couple other items. So they sent me the paperwork on Monday, this past Monday, the 13th, and I wrote them back and I was like, well, the part that takes me the longest is actually the bookkeeping. I need that for the return. I have to input everything. It has to tie out to the balance sheet. If you have fixed assets, I have to put those so I can depreciate them properly. And this one person, and they weren't the only one. They weren't like, "Oh yeah, I'll have your bookkeeping, by tomorrow." Tomorrow being Tuesday the 14th. Yeah, and this is not good because the whole point of me having that March 6th deadline was so I would have time to actually do it, not the day before, we have to submit it. So when you know it, Tuesday, March 14th comes along, and it was just an absolute fucking mess all day. All day. These people that quote got me everything by March 6th. They got me everything by March 6th, but they were missing half their shit. And then March 14th or even March 15th came along, and then they got me everything else. And again, it was just a total mess. And the stuff that wasn't a total mess, I really didn't have time to fix it myself. I couldn't really send it to my bookkeeper because my bookkeeper, he's also dealing with last minute people like this. So a lot of those people ended up going on extension, and they weren't happy about it. They were like, "Well, you said March 6th. I got you most everything March 6th." And so, and by the way, I had a lot of work to do for people that were able to get me their stuff. It takes time to do these things. So I needed, that whole week from last week into this week just to get all the returns done for people who did technically submit everything on time. So I wanted to work on those, but instead I lost like half my day on Tuesday dealing with people who, were arguing with me like, "Well, I got you everything." I'm like, "No, you didn't. Your bookkeeping's a mess." "Oh, it's fine. It's good enough. Just go with what I have on there." And I'm like, "I can't go with what I have on there. It's ridiculously like it was just not without going into details, it was in no kind of shape where I could actually do the return. You can't send me like all your bank statements or your credit card statements and be like, "All right, that's my stuff. Put it on that. Those are my business expenses. Put it on the S-Corp return." It just doesn't work that way. So, um, so really, Tuesday was not a great day because instead of being able to sit down, concentrate, and do the work that I needed it to do, to get these S-Corp returns on time, I spent half or really even most of the day, like, going back and forth on email with these people that were insisting that they followed my instructions correctly, and it just got really bad. Uh, mm. So so I ended up having to file extensions for people who claim that they got me everything on time, and I realized that, like, I either have to set a much earlier deadline next year, March 1st at the latest, or maybe even in February. I see some of you in the chat are like, "Just say February," or, you know, I guess I need to find a way to not, like, allow them to think that, I set the deadline, and if you get me most of everything, but it's in really bad shape where I can't do anything with it, that doesn't count. So that's what made it so hard. And Tuesday and Wednesday, I basically worked. I mean, I normally work, a 12 to 14-hour day this time of year. I work like probably a 17-hour day Tuesday and 18-hour day Wednesday. And like I told you, I got sick on earlier in the week, so I didn't feel good, and I'm dealing with, all of this crap. And so it was just a really tough week, and a lot of people were pissed off. And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, I gave instructions. You're saying that you met my deadline, but everything most of the stuff you gave me was just piss poor. I couldn't do anything with it." So so that was kind of tough. And I'm open to any suggestions you guys have to avoid this for next year because I don't want to deal with this type of situation again next year. Remember, these are all good clients. Like, I let go a lot of the ones that were even worse than this. So if my good clients are doing this, there's a flaw in the system. So that's what happened. And I was gonna come on here and tell you guys a few stories, some of the really bad stories with this, but I'm not the only one I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to read emails and everything like I did last time because it would get me too mad, and I don't want to deal with that. But I will tell you about one client in particular where I don't want to say I fired them. Let's just say it was a mutual separation, and it happened on Wednesday, the filing deadline. You guys are actually going to like this one. Um, this married couple who had a business. It was only the husband that had the business, but oddly enough, I usually, or I almost exclusively deal with the wife when it comes to handling the husband's like materials, bookkeeping for his S-Corp return and of course their personal documents and everything. I get this email on was it Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. Monday, March 13th, I get this email and it was from the wife and she goes, "Hey, here you go, Chad. Here's everything for the S-Corp and our personal documentation." So I make it very clear that if you have an S corporation, you don't send me any of your personal tax documents. I don't want them. You're going to just clutter everything up. Only send me the S corp stuff first. So she sends me the S corp stuff first, and like I was telling you, like most people in this scenario, the procrastinators or whatever, the bookkeeping was not in any kind of condition where I could do the S corp return. The problem is she didn't even meet my March 6th deadline. She didn't even find the, loophole where somebody could theoretically do this. So without even looking at it, I said to her, let's just call her Karen. That's not her real name, but she's Karen. So we might as well just call her Karen. So I said, Karen, remember how I sent out that email in mid-January about how I needed your S-Corp materials by March 6th, or you're going on automatic extension? Well, I already filed your extension, so and you're way late. There's a ton of people ahead of you. I'll just have to try to get to this if I can, later this month or in April. And we'll be able to get it done. And as far as I told her, as far as your personal documents, again, I'm setting those aside. You really weren't supposed to send those until we did your S corp first. And I'm not saying people have to like this, but they do have to accept it, when I'm telling them something like this. So um I've been working with them for a while, and Karen had never done this before. And, she actually sort of tore me a new one, in the reply. I think this was Monday night. She's like, "Well, I don't think that should have basically, we've been working together this long. You should be familiar enough with our situation where, we don't have to play it like this. Karen, what's the male equivalent for a Karen? Is it Keith or Kevin or whatever? We'll call him Kevin." Karen goes, "Me and Keith are going," get this, you guys, this is why I'm telling you this story. "Me and Keith are going on a cruise and we're leaving on Friday," which is today, Friday. And, it was something like a 2-week cruise, and then they were gonna be on vacation after that, and their vacation, I couldn't believe this. Their vacation was gonna last basically past April 15th. I think they said they were going to Taiwan after that cruise or something. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm thinking, well, who the hell is going to run, Keith's business? Like, or Keith or Kevin, whatever I decide to call him. Yeah, Ken. Let's call him Ken. I think that's better. Um, so basically, Karen was basically telling me that not only did she not meet my deadline to get the S corp stuff on time, she didn't meet she basically wanted it done by this Friday, not just the S corp return, but everything. Because she's like, "We'll be on vacation. We want it done before then. We want to get our refund, and I don't want an extension." Well, you can imagine how this went down with me. And by the way, I'm not going to read the email. I'm just not going to do that. But she wasn't very friendly in the email. Like it was not gracious. It was not like, well, we really need this, blah, blah, blah. It was almost like a demand, sort of like an ultimatum, like do this or we're going somewhere else. So at this point, I was so angry. I just wrote her back and I'm like, Karen, you guys have to go someplace else then. I'll do you the courtesy. I've already filed an extension for your S corp return, and I'll go ahead and do you the courtesy of filing an extension for your 1040. Again, that's due April 15th. You've missed the S corp deadline, and you're going to miss the 1040 deadline now that we're not going to be working together. And I said that. And so I sent that, which, in all honesty, I thought that was pretty nice of me. You know, if you're basically firing me over email, I'm not really under any obligation to file an extension for your individual return. But we had worked together for a while, and they hadn't given me this type of trouble. Mm. And as I said, I'm not going to read her reply, but man, she just tore me a new one. I mean, she was just like, we hire you to do these things for us, and we really need that refund, and we were counting on it, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, she really tore me a new one. So I ended up not replying. The one thing I did do, which I regret, was I gave her a referral, a name for referral for somebody who I know has capacity, but I really wish I just left them dying on a vine, because that was one of the worst emails I've ever gotten from somebody who was, dissatisfied with my service, as she put it. All because I wouldn't, like, move her to the top of the pile. And it wasn't a matter, one of you guys in the chat said Japanese refusal. It wasn't a situation where I could say, well, you have to pay me an extra $1,000 and I'll get all this done for you. I couldn't do it. The bookkeeping was really uncharacteristically horrible this year compared to what they've submitted to me in previous years. Like, I don't know if Karen had been doing, I really don't know this, if Karen had been doing the bookkeeping, or if Keith or Ken or whoever had been doing it, but whoever put together those business expenses just did a horrifically bad job. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story. Like, it was not a good week, because a lot of people genuinely thought that because they got me some half-assed attempt at bookkeeping on my deadline, my March 6th deadline, that meant that they had fulfilled their end of the deal to get their S-Corp return filed on time, and it just didn't happen for quite a few people. I mean, it was a handful of people. It wasn't just Karen and Ken. There were others that really dropped the ball with this. So it's I know I always say this. It's kind of a shame that Clary couldn't get on here, because I did want to, like, kind of rant about this with him and get his take on it. Of course, he would have just been like, fuck him, fire him, blah blah blah. Yeah, yeah. So I get a lot of email questions about running your own practice and everything. And for those of you that think you want to do this for a living, and that you got to watch out for people like this. If you set a deadline, people are just going to vomit whatever they have and claim that they met the deadline, even if it's going to take sometimes weeks to fix. Like, tax season could be over by the time you fix this stuff. So you just got to watch out for that. I think what I'm probably going to do is, at a minimum, have a March 1st deadline, for 2024. Then I'm going to make it clear for people that if you submit harsh bookkeeping to me, where it's going to take a ton of time, like, to get done, that doesn't count as getting your materials done, submitted to me on time. So it really was that type of week. Mm. But all right, that was about all I had to say about that. But let us my favorite part of these things are going to the comments, doing the super chats and everything. So let me have a look at what y'all said. What's up, TK? My favorite tax man. Well, thank you. That's a lot more love than I've been getting this week with these people I've been talking to you about. Red Robin, the procrastination is going to be a rude awakening for when the automatic extensions for estimates give a fat tax bill on the deadline date. You must be talking about California. I think California got an automatic October 15th extension deadline, but I don't know if they have an extension to pay estimated taxes. So I'm just really glad. Not only am I glad I don't live in California, I'm glad I never have to do a California tax return, because those things suck. Oh, yeah, you did say you're referring to California and other states. California had some kind of blizzard and flood or something. Was it a couple weeks ago? So they got all kinds of extensions. California and New York are the two worst tax returns to prepare, both on a corporate and individual level. Massachusetts isn't far behind either. All these crappy states. 8191. Investors got to get their K1s the way employees get a W-2. You're absolutely correct. So K1s are what are generated from partnership and S-Corp returns. And since those have a March 15th filing deadline, if you're an investor, or you're mainly a partner when you get these, but if you're a partner and in some kind of investment partnership, you're not going to be able to do your personal tax returns until really after March 15th, almost every year. So that's another issue. California is a disaster. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Man, you get so jaded doing this. This is my 2023. Yeah, this is my 10th busy season on my own. And I used to be a nice guy, but you get so pissed when shit like this happens year after year. Hey, what's up, Dre? $2. I heard you had a tornado watch or warning yesterday, Dre, down where you are. Candidate told me. Show is sponsored by Boxes of Receipts and TurboTax. You know, it's funny. It is possible for somebody to send you a digital box of receipts because what people do is instead of putting together their business expenses, they'll just flat out email you or upload every credit card statement, their corporate credit card. They'll just upload those statements each month and say here, and they're not categorized, they're mixed with personal expenses. It's just a mess. And I had a few people that tried to do that. They tried to basically digitally submit a box full of receipts. And I don't play that game anymore. Let's see. Dre, give them a deadline that's 1 month earlier, like February 1st. So here's the thing with that. A lot of times these 1099s that I need to get to do these returns, even though those are supposed to be issued by February 1st, sometimes people don't issue them until well into February. I don't know why that's the case, but that happened a lot this year. I work with therapists a lot, and so they get a lot of these 1099 miscellaneous forms, 1099 NECs. There were a few insurance companies that did not submit those until mid to late February, and that causes delays. Japanese refusal. Yeah. Hey, Jill, what's up? I know you're a tax preparer. Used to work for a bookkeeping service that did that kind of cleanup, organizing, and tracking sheets with friends. And I do have tracking sheets. Yeah. For those of you who do think you want to get into accounting, but don't necessarily want to do tax or get your EA or CPA or anything like that, there is a shortage of qualified bookkeepers. They're badly needed. And this is a way you can make some money is clean up for these procrastinators that do shit like just upload credit card statements instead of actually keeping track of their expenses. So an opportunity for people who want to do that. Plus you can work virtually and from home and can set your own rates. You can probably get $50 an hour minimum for that type of work these days. It's not hard to be a bookkeeper either. You just become QuickBooks certified and take a couple of courses. Yeah, I saw this earlier. Ben crap. I'm a CPA and this may be it for me. This line of work is soul crushing. It can be. It honest to goodness can be really soul crushing. I get so pissed off this time of year, every busy season that I seriously every year I sit and question like why do I do this to myself? Like why do I deal with this type of bullshit? And the answer is because it makes the rest of the year a lot better. Because when you're not in busy season, the rest of the year is better. It gets a little busier in the fall with extenders in September and October, but it makes summers really good, except for the COVID years when they extended it. But yeah, so try Ben. All I can say, Ben, is I hear you and I feel you. But a month from now, so tax season ends April 18th. About a month from now, we'll be feeling really relieved and happy. And then 2 days after that is 420, and you know what that means. 8191. I don't know if there's much you can do besides in the beginning say I need 100% of your PBCs. PBCs are prepared by clients. That's like the bookkeeping by the deadline, or there's a 99% chance I have to file an extension. I 81. I did that, but my screw up was that I didn't specify that the PBCs had to actually be manageable where I could start working on the return. I think people thought I just meant vomit whatever they could get into my portal and all would be well. This is my fault. I screwed up here. I guess I gave my clients too much benefit of the doubt that they would know that if you're going to throw up a bunch of crap in a bookkeeping thing, that doesn't mean you've met my requirements to get your tax return or your S-Corp returns done on time. So I screwed up. I admit it. Does it cost the clients money to file an extension? You bet your ass it does. Nothing's for free, especially when people do this type of stuff to us. Jill again. Chad, are they playing the entitled the entitled Karen game? Special rates for them. In a locksmith shop I used to work at, they were called asshole charges. Yeah, I I think I have a lot of thinking to do when I get through this off season here. I'm gonna try to figure out the best way to do this because for years I have struggled with things like this. And of course, when Clary's on here, he's like, "Fuck him, you charge him, you tell them that they can go fuck themselves and everything." And that's one approach, but I prefer to just work efficiently and not have to deal with this stuff during weeks like this when the deadline is right in smack dab in the middle of it. So people like the ones I've been describing do get charged more, but I have to develop a better strategy than what I did this year because I kind of dropped the ball. Wiz Division Productions for $5. You know what cheers me up when I'm down? Giving you money, knowing Cappy won't receive a dime. Doesn't that just give you the warm and fuzzies, Chad? You know what, Wiz Division Productions, that honestly does cheer me up a lot right now. And thank you so much for that. You guys, I know this is going to sound like bullshit. I don't come on here trying to make money. I do this because I genuinely have fun with it. And it is therapeutic to just sort of rant about this stuff. And I just get the biggest kick out of people that donate good money when Clary's not here. I don't know if any of you were here last week. Someone gave me $100 super chat. And the first thing I did when I finished the stream was I screenshotted it and I texted it to Clary, and he texted me back. He goes, "That's just wrong, man. That's just wrong." So it's hilarious, and I love that. So thank you for that, Wiz Division Productions. Hey, Cynic, I didn't see you in there. For $5. Ensure next year you specify complete documentation be filed by the due date, or an extension may be filed if required. So here's the thing. I did say it needed to be complete, but I don't think I specified that it had to be actually correctly complete, because people thought it was complete when they were just throwing up those credit card statements. And I think I just need to be a lot more specific. But you are absolutely correct that I need to be far more specific when I'm setting these deadlines. And I'll tell you, I've already decided it's not going to be March 6th. It's going to be March 1. I need a full 2 weeks now, not just, a week and some change, to deal with people who are going to try to pull the shit that they pulled this year. This was just really bad. This is one of the worst weeks I've ever had. Hey, Kona Savage, what's up? Bacon, what's up, man? Are you doing your live stream tonight? I might pop in there. Actually, Bacon, I'm gonna be working tonight, but if you send me the link, if you are going on live tonight and you're showing, you send me the link, maybe I'll pop in there just to hang on for a bit. I don't know for sure if I can do that, but it's something I've thought about this time of year. So yeah. But anyway, I used to have a vendor that had a ceramic jar with a fork stopper that said "ashes of problem customers" on it. Yeah, I should do something like that virtually, I suppose. Leslie, I saw this comment earlier and I liked it. Could you have some sort of online checklist which shows which items have been submitted and which items have been omitted? So that is a way more efficient way of doing it than I have been doing it. Because every time somebody, submits everything to me timely, I do write them back and I say I'm missing XYZ. So I kind of give them my own checklist, but I don't know if people ignored it this year or they thought I was just kidding or something, but a lot of people just flat out ignored that shit. So I wonder if an online checklist might change that, or might make it easier for I don't know about easier, it might make people pay attention to it a bit more. So I think that's a pretty good suggestion, and there's probably software that does this. So there's a lot I have to look into when I get through this shit. I like this comment too from 8191. You could also send a friendly New Year's Eve reminder, quote, "Great time to make sure your PBCs are in good shape for tax season. I will need a complete PBC by deadline, or you will mail extension." See, yeah, I should have sent a reminder. You're right. The reason I didn't was because I really I guess I thought, based on previous years, that my people told me, my clients told me that they did pay attention to my intro to tax season emails that I send out every January 15th, but I don't know if people ignored them or just thought I wasn't being serious or something, but I do need to start sending out reminders. Of course, those may get ignored too, the way things have gone this week. Hey, Christopher Nunn for $5. How to fix? Mid-February deadline and warning them that they will pay extra for a bookkeeper if their stuff needs to be cleaned up. I think that's probably an excellent suggestion because I think I may have been a little bit too laissez-faire about, when I was like, I'm serious. It has to be there by March 15th. I just wasn't specific enough about what they needed to make sure they had to get me by then. So, Christopher Nunn, I think that's actually a really good suggestion. I dropped the ball. I'm perfectly willing to admit that, but I'll do better next year. Thanks for the super chat. See what else. Yeah, Red Robin. I saw this earlier. I think they did. That story I told you about, the client that we ended up parting ways because they were dicks, or Karens, whatever. I think they probably did spend way too much money. They're going to be on like a 6-week vacation. It's like a 2-week cruise, then they're going to Asia. I think they did spend too much money and they realized that. And so they're counting on me. They usually do get refunds because they tend to overpay on their estimated taxes. But if I can't do your S-Corp return, how the fuck am I supposed to do your individual return, particularly when you submit it, in the 11th hour and it's in bad shape? So I think you're right, Red Robin. I think they were counting on me to like fund their vacation, and it didn't happen. Cynic for $2. Filed and paid my taxes and protection money on Monday. Hey man, you got it done well in advance of the deadline, so I respect you for that because I have a feeling it's going to be a rocky last 5 weeks here. It'll be done about 5 weeks from today. 5 weeks from Tuesday, but yeah, there were a lot of people that did not get me their stuff on time. S-Corp owners that I had to file extensions for. I don't really know what happened this year. I maybe people are concerned about the economy or something. I don't know, but it was a lot more procrastinators than usual. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, Red Robin, I got that in so many emails. I got that, here's everything you need. And then I would open it up and it was a box full of receipts in a digital sense. It was fucking horrible. And I want to be clear about something. These are good clients, meaning I've been working with some of them for a lot of years and they were so much better in previous tax seasons. So it's just really caught me off guard with a lot of this stuff. And I'm still sitting here trying to figure out what the fuck happened with some of them. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas what's going on these days, you tell me because I don't know. Bacon, what's up? $2.23. How about block text asking for Bacon? Bacon, definitely send me that link tonight if you want me to come on there. I might not be in the best shape to participate if catch my drift, but maybe for a couple minutes. We'll see. Fernando Corvette for $9.99. Thanks, dude. That's super generous. My best client was the CEO of Samsung a long time ago. You had the CEO of Samsung as a client? That's pretty cool. Plenty of those executives lose their jobs and believe they can run a business. Being a successful entrepreneur isn't easy. Most people are idiots. Dude, you are so right about that. There, like, the amount of people that have started a business and that I've tried to explain, when somebody is starting a business, a client of mine, even if it's just a side business, I usually set up a consultation with them. Lately it's over Zoom, but I tell them, I try to explain to them what's involved with this. There's bookkeeping, there's possible payroll, there's estimated taxes, there's forming an LLC or some other kind of corporation with the state. There's possible S-Corp status, which I've told you all about. There are a lot of, and there's sales tax, sales and use tax. Like there's all sorts of possible things that they have no clue about, that they think they know everything. Because a lot of people that did this were former either executives or managers who thought just because they knew how to manage people, maybe, they can run their own business. It's like I told the candidate recently, there's a lot of stuff you don't see that I'm doing behind the scenes. Things like billing. Unless you hire somebody, you have to do your own billing. You have to do your own payment collection. You have to track all that. I mean, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. And I'm not saying that to act like I'm the greatest person ever. It's just way, way, way different than just sitting there and getting a paycheck, every 2 weeks or whatever. There's just so much that goes into it. And yeah, the people that I see, some of the worst clients I've had who ended up failing with their businesses are ones that worked for companies for years and thought they knew everything, and they didn't know the half of it. Let's see. Yes, I saw this comment. Red Robin. Yeah, the section 199A, that's the qualified business income deduction. It's the extra 20% from the Trump tax reform from 2018. It's causing massive delays in the brokerage statements because those do appear. The dividends, the non-dividends, or whatever you call the non-qualified dividends, right, are going on the 199As, and that's causing a delay with these brokerage statements. And yes, there's been some amended brokerage statements. I'm seeing more and more of that. I actually, this wasn't the client's fault, but there was somebody who I filed their taxes back in February. They had a brokerage statement. It was either from TD Ameritrade or Morgan Stanley or something, and we did it. They did everything right. And then they got an amended brokerage statement, and there were some major changes in it. And they were, at least part of it was related to the 199As. So I did amend it for them, and it wasn't their fault. Like as shit gets more and more complicated, as it's probably just going to continue to get, this is the type of stuff that's going to happen. So, Dre, do bookkeepers get the girls like you, Chad? Yeah, I get the girls all the time. I only got one girl, but that's all I want. Soon. Cynic, what's up, dude? 100% cash to you. You almost want to hire a bookkeeper to deal with the messes, then charge egregious rates, which kickback with a kickback to you to fix the messes. There's a couple of bookkeepers that I work with regularly. They're not my employees. It's just sort of like a referral relationship we have, and I mean, I'm actually friends with them. So they're nice and reliable, and I like them. Hang out with them. They're Chicago based, and a lot of times they're kind of overwhelmed the first couple weeks of March because of people like the ones I've been telling you about. So it's tough because I mean they would like to earn money. I would like to send them people where they can earn money. There's just not enough of them. Again, if any of you guys listening to this want to become bookkeepers, we really, really need them. And it's not hard to become one. Just get QuickBooks certified, okay? Dre, imagine Cappy reaction to Chad getting a $500 chat. Well, I would love to find out, but no, you don't have to give me a $500 super chat. The deal has been altered. Bacon. Yeah, I use it to get Irish whiskey, get through these Karen clientele communications. I gotta tell you, I really thought I'd gotten rid of all my Karen clients, but you can't anticipate some of this stuff. You can't predict it. God, this cold medicine I'm taking really, this is not a heavy alcohol beer. It's like 5 something percent, but man, it makes you a little woozy. Going online, you were treated a lot better by the folks who follow you. Downright therapeutic and doesn't need a beer on the side. This is definitely therapeutic, and I do owe it to Clary because he was like, "You got to start a channel like this," because I never thought anybody would care enough to actually tune in to hear about taxes. But this has been helpful since I started it. Let's see, yeah, Bacon. You can send it on Twitter or wherever. And if I'm at all functional tonight, I'll pop in for a bit. Cynic for $2. Online checklists sound like an easy project for me. Yeah, I really think that this is gonna be something that I probably should do, because I just kinda feel like if it's something online that's gonna be, like, perpetually, like, reminded, maybe emails get automatically sent or something, you make it annoying enough, maybe they'll actually pay attention. Of course, then it could become spam-like and they ignore it, but I feel like I have to try something, because this I whatever happened this year, it didn't work, and that's on me. Dre. Thaddeus and Karen are Chad's favorite. Thaddeus, yeah. Yeah. Um, I think one of the things I'm slowly coming to terms with is that unfortunately, like, there's always just gonna, even if people are the best clients in the world and you've worked with them for 10 years, even in some instances, you just never know what they're gonna be like um, year to year. You know, someone who's been amazing to work with one year could be your worst nightmare another year. So it's kind of a bummer. How much are bookkeepers making in the area? So 50 to $60 an hour is what I see most of the time, and that's not bad money. You do have to know how to do it. You know, if you take a couple of bookkeeping courses online and you get QuickBooks certified, that's really all you got to do. But you do need a little bit of experience, and you have to be able to understand how it works. It's not rocket science, you know. It's just knowing what assets are, what liabilities are, and what stockholders' equity are, and you know how they fit together. It's really not that hard. Um, I saw this from Torgo. I'm a bookkeeper's son. I don't want to shoot no one. Don't take okay. DJ Aftershock for $2. Dude, bro, I'm a big deal at KPMG, bro. Audited SVP, bro. Silicon Valley Bank. Kind of is anybody surprised they got bailed out like that? What, rich people getting bailed out so their politicians will keep giving them money? Come on. Beast with a red pill. Chad, what was the easiest tax filing you ever had and what made it so easy? I tell you, I do have a handful of clients, a small amount that, honest to goodness, should be using TurboTax. They have like one W-2 and maybe a 1099 for interest. But year after year, they insist on using me. And I tell them, you know, I charge my minimum, which is not cheap. Whereas TurboTax could possibly even be free for some of these people. And they still won't, they still just want me to do it. And I've had to tell a few of them, I'm like, I don't need the business. I don't need your money. I have plenty of clients. They're like, dude, I just don't even want to think about it. I trust you. We've known each other for 20 years. Just do it for me. You know, TurboTax would charge them maybe $30, but they still want me to do it. So I think that's probably it. All right, you guys, I do actually feel a lot better having gotten some of this off my chest. And yeah, I don't know what else to say except year after year, it's a work in progress on trying to fix the processes, getting these things nailed down because I there's always something that's going to go wrong. I've come to terms with it. There's always something that's going to go wrong, whether it's the processes of getting these things done or the clients that, you know, the clients that just change from year to year. You know, they can be the most perfect people for years, and then they'll just turn on you at the drop of a hat because they have a vacation planned. So so yeah, that was pretty much it. Thank you so much for your super chats. I hope those of you celebrating St. Patrick's Day have fun tonight. And otherwise, I do think I'll come back here next week because there's still some fallout that I'm waiting to happen from everything I told you about earlier here. And maybe we'll have Clary on here too because he draws a crowd. I'll say that about him. But otherwise, we should hang out soon.